Okay, welcome back to the podcast. And eerily beloved, we are gathered here today with
Heather,
Mom,
Ginger,
and it is Ginger's first time on the podcast. Welcome, Ginger.
Thank you.
And today we are going to be talking about Dammasch State Hospital. Heather is the one that suggested this episode, so I thought it was only fitting that we do the episode with her and the girls.
I don't even know what it is, so fill me in.
Okay, yeah. Let's get into it. Okay, Dammasch State Hospital for the Mentally Ill in Wilsonville, Oregon was named after Dr. Ferdinand H. Dammasch, and it was opened in 1961 for general psychiatric conditions and primarily to help with the influx in patients that had overfilled the Oregon State Hospital in Salem. The facility had 3 floors and was equipped with separate housing for staff, its own fire department, crematorium, morgue, operating room, and more. Additionally, under the facility is a network of 4 miles of underground tunnels.
Ooh.
creepy.
What happened behind the closed doors of Dammasch is largely unreported and unknown. In a patient's handbook, it states that to assist the doctor in order to find the best and quickest way to treat you, he has at his disposal various drugs, stimulants, sedations, and tranquilizers, modified electric treatment, psychotherapy, occupational therapy, and industrial therapy. It's also kind of widely known that they also did 4 sterilizations there in addition to the Oregon State Hospital.
Wow.
Records of patients that were admitted are sparse, even for people that lived there for decades. Some suffered from severe delusions, addiction, depression, bipolar disorder, others from severe physical deformities. Some seemed to be institutionalized because their families just didn't know what to do with them. Even then, the system operated more or less like a revolving door. An article from Willamette Week in 1981 reported that of the 1,600 people admitted to Dammasch from Multnomah County last year, 65% had previously been at the hospital, some of them more than a dozen times. A Dammasch social worker recalls a patient who had been released after 2 years because Dammasch simply wanted to be rid of him. I talked to him that day and asked if he was having hallucinations. He said he was seeing rats the size of people eating babies, but they let him out. I called the county clinic to warn them and apologized. Called back a while later and heard he'd beaten up his brother and ended up in jail.
That's crazy.
So
Wow. Well,
it was just like a broken system, and people went on the streets until they were having a psychotic episode, and then they'd have to go back to the hospital, and then it was just kind of...
and then the hospital let him go and then just bounce around, basically.
Yep. So after the inhumane treatment that happened at these supposed care facilities was becoming a topic of conversation, deinstitutionalization became a national movement primarily under JFK Jr.'s presidency, when he introduced the Community Mental Health Centers Act of 1963 to Congress. He said, reliance on the cold mercy of custodial isolation will be supplemented by the open warmth of community concern and capability. In 1995, an investigation was opened by the Oregon Advocacy Center in response to internal complaints about treatment of patients that resulted in at least 5 preventable deaths between June and October of 1993.
So they were just really kind of running amok at that point.
Yep. Disability Rights Oregon made this investigation public. The facility at this time had been suffering from systemic deficiencies that greatly impacted the level of care and treatment of patients. Budget restrictions, low staffing, poor training, and inadequate facilities were not new to the hospital after it had been open at this point for over 30 years, but ongoing issues that unfortunately had never been addressed, which led to tragedy. High patient counts during this time as well led to public scrutiny, as they only had around 460 beds, but upwards of 600 patients at a time.
No wonder they castrated.
After the building was closed in 1995, it was left as is, and was the site of many break-ins, teens looking for cheap thrills, and sadly many former patients who didn't know where else to go came back to the building.
So it was just like abandoned.
Yeah, everyone...
1995.
yeah. People just walked out.
Once they decommissioned it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that feels like yesterday to me, just so you know.
Well, and the patients, they didn't have anywhere to go either.
Mm-hmm.
They were just like, okay, the doors are open. Urban explorers reported patient files were left open on desks, wallpapers peeling off the walls, diary pages from old therapy sessions were strewn about, and even beds were left in the rooms. Costa Pacific Construction, who was in charge of the building demolition, allowed Navy SEALs, SCRT, and police teams to conduct trainings and emergency entry and exit procedures, leading to even further damage and destruction of the already derelict property.
So it was just used for whatever training was needed.
Simulations,
Yes.
learning. Okay.
Well, and there's even pictures of people there who were there in like 2003, and there's posters up that were used as targets, and they're shot, and they're just on every single floor, on the doors. Very strange.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And it closed in 95, and that was still there in 03.
Mm-hmm.
And part of it was still there when I was going to build by there, which was 2010, I believe.
And that's what you're going to get to, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. So in 1999, the Oregon legislature passed House Bill 3446, Chapter 983. When the sale of the hospital happened, the money went into a trust fund. The interest was to be used to help fund integrated housing after many patients were displaced when Dammasch closed. In 2013, at least 73 units of the new Villebois development were used with the intention of providing adequate in-home care for those with mental illnesses. And this was considered the first community of its kind in the country. Did you know that?
In Wilsonville.
2013?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Did you just say Villebois?
Mm-hmm.
The master plan community
Yes.
in Wilsonville where people pay a lot of money for homes?
Uh-huh.
The master plan community.
Yes.
The same exact name was a prior mental institution?
And
Yes.
it is currently housing people that have mental health issues because it has to as part of its
Pursuant to the requirements of the bill, residences for the mentally ill are sprinkled throughout the Villebois community.
I love everything about this. The realtor in me is like, bring it on. So houses are built. So they tore down the place.
Yes, they tore down the
So
place.
it was decommissioned or whatever, and everybody was freed in 1995. In 2003, there were still simulations and practicing, etc. So there were posters on the wall in 03. And then in 15, there was a smaller version called Villebois that was created for in-house mental health.
No, it's part of the master plan community to build
So
the community.
some of the
there
houses that are in that community
are
are used for...
mentally ill.
Yep.
They're
Excellent.
sporadic throughout the
Yes.
development. Why
As-
don't I remember this?
And
That's
the
what I was
only
going to
things-
ask
I don't
you.
remember that.
Okay, but don't worry, because before construction had started on the site, Wilsonville Mayor Charlotte Lehan in 2006 said they had a psychic friend of theirs go through it and bless the spirits they thought were still hanging around.
Oh, they like saged it and brought shaman and
So
stuff.
so don't worry, like everything in the area is fine. So now you two can go buy a house that was on the former site of a mental institution.
Have fun with that.
So all that remains today of Dammasch State Hospital for the mentally ill is the flagpole, which resides in the middle of the Villebois community.
I remember where that is.
I am enthralled. Tell me more.
Okay. Now we're going to get into some of the ghost stories that people have experienced kind of in and around the area.
And the time frame?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. This person was from when the building still existed, but post when it was a mental hospital, so probably around 2003, 2005. This person said, the weirdest thing I've ever experienced was at Dammasch. The first thing that happens when you tear a building down is cut the power. I mean, the electrical company comes in, literally rolls up the old wire from the feed to the building. Absolutely no power. When my boss and I used to walk all 180,000 square feet of it 2 to 3 times a week to chase the tweakers out. One day we got to the end of the hall where it terminated into a day room, and there was a singular light bulb on. The power had been cut for months. My boss Rick carried a gun for obvious reasons and shot it out from the doorway. Creepiest moment of my life.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, one light bulb, no power.
Nope. Someone else said, before Dammasch was torn down, I know quite a few people that had snuck in only to find blood and writing on walls. Beds and carts were left behind as if everyone suddenly just vanished. I truly feel bad for the people that just move in unknowingly. It's horror movie material right there. This other person says, I grew up in Wilsonville, a couple of miles away from the hospital when it was still there. Groups of friends would go check it out at nighttime, and it was absolutely terrifying. Not only did you hear creepy things, you would see old blood on walls through the windows, and the overall energy was very eerie. Like we were not welcome at all. I only went once and refused to ever go again. I can't explain the feeling you get from that kind of energy, but it was enough for me to never even think about going back.
Did you say at the beginning that part of the facility was a morgue?
Mm-hmm.
That they had a cremation.
Yeah, they had basically full service, full hospital service.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I did not know about the crematorium. I don't
Really?
remember that. Mm-mm.
That's extra.
That is.
I think that's extra when you create a development on top of that site. I mean, you can throw all your prayers and juju on it. That's great. But
With the tunnels.
do talk about those.
The tunnels don't exist anymore. They were imploded before they started building on it, just because that would probably cause some issues if they were building houses on those. But
isn't there lore about what's in the tunnels? Like what was in the tunnels is like,
it was kind of speculated, and it's not really known what the tunnels were used for. Because why did the tunnels exist under the hospital unless they were used for kind of nefarious purposes?
Oh.
So, yeah.
more like experiments. I mean, I think some of the things that we read were used for some types of experiments or other things that were done underground and not part of the above ground facility.
But is this documented or is this just hearsay?
I think it's a little bit of both. I mean, we were able to find some documentation, but actually there's not a lot because a lot of this has to be public record because it was a state hospital. And so, but the problem is they don't keep a lot of records for that long.
Yeah.
And they've even had trouble coming up with records after lawsuits and other things.
Sure.
And because it was decommissioned, a lot of the stuff was just left. It's like, okay, I'm not getting paid for this.
And once they cut the funding,
leaving.
once they cut the funding, that's it.
Yeah.
But it was from like the early 50s to mid 90s, correct? So
Yeah.
it was live and in action with the revolving door of people coming in and out
About
for 40
years.
years.
Mhm.
With we don't know what happened in the deep dark tunnels. Okay, I'm super interested in the tunnels.
So Heather, what did you know?
Most of what you said, except for the crematorium, because I had just researched it because honestly, so there was a time we were looking, I would go over there at least once a week as the whole place was being developed, right? And looking at, I mean, they had I met with the people and, to choose a house plan, the whole bit.
And what year was this?
This was probably 2010, 11. And then also I house sat for a lady, like her cat was in kidney failure and needed fluids. I had to go twice a day to do that. So I spent some time over there, greatest, cutest little community. Has a kind of a European flair, like a French flair, but it gave me the creeps. It absolutely gave me the creeps that to the point where I'm like, I just don't think we could live there. I just felt weird being over there.
Was that why you decided not to live there?
Yeah.
You just, it fell off.
Yeah.
Was that before you had known anything about it, or had you already done your research up?
No, I knew it was there, but it didn't. I didn't think about it. It didn't faze me.
Yeah.
But just going over there all the time, I just can't explain it. Just this feeling of like, I don't know, dread or doomsday-ish. I don't know. Just like
So just the vibe of the location.
yeah. Driving around there. Thinking, okay, well, what lot am I going to want? What house plan over all the time. And I just, I don't know. I just couldn't pull the trigger, You just have this weird feeling. You don't know why.
And did you know at the time that they were integrating these mental health?
I don't remember that. I mean, certainly that must have been public information, but I don't.
I think it was probably public information, but not something that they were advertising. Similar to the fact that it used to be the site of an old mental institution.
Yeah.
I think that is kept very much on the down low because that would impact house sales.
Yeah.
And everything.
And it was that area where the hospital was the last part to be developed. Because even when I was looking, there was a part that hadn't been torn down yet. And I just remember thinking, ooh, that's weird, creepy. But then it's like, the more I went, the creepier it became and the less I wanted to be there. It just felt bizarre. I don't know. I would love for you guys to go and see if you feel weird. I don't know.
There's a lot of paranormal, right? Work, like people that do work and study things there.
Oh.
Because it's kind of like wildly known that they're looking for the type of like paranormal activity, ghosts and other things.
That would make sense.
Former state hospital is probably a great place to to go to find that with just
the energy alone, not even the people that potentially could have lost their lives there, just the despair,
the darkness,
and the darkness. And we were talking about this earlier. Back in the day, I guess it really isn't that long ago, but people used to go to these institutions for things that aren't really considered mental illnesses these days. They would go for depression, or they would go for anxiety. They would go because they had an addiction.
Menopause.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
things in today's world that we would see as very normal activities, they may be in an institution, and sometimes for a very long time.
Yep.
Right? Like you said, I mean, some people were allowed to leave, but there were probably others that weren't, or, had pretty significant types of treatments that maybe couldn't leave.
Yep.
Well, I have a couple of thoughts, so I'm trying to bring them all circle here. First of all, the fact that you were considering building there, taking one of the lots, picking the house, making it the house of your dreams, and you just ultimately didn't like the vibe of the location.
Right.
In the state of Oregon, you are not required as the seller to disclose if there was death inside the home or on the land being sold. So had there been any negative vibes or situations that occurred
Right. That's not a required
in the
disclosure.
facility or on the land or 14 feet below ground or however far those tunnels were, that is not required to be disclosed. So I think maybe that's where some people get the vibe. So good on you for being attuned to that, number one. Number two, going back to JFK in 1963, I think it was his sister or his cousin, Rosemary Kennedy, was institutionalized. And so he could see just how broken the system was back then. So I appreciate that there was an effort to say we need to reform. What is that? Clearly, it's still evolving. But I think that shows that there's 40 years of people trying and advocating for change. It closed down here locally in 1995. The name Villebois, that's French, right?
Yeah.
So to have the European French feel is really cool. You don't have to disclose what's there. So is there something? I don't know. I'm super intrigued by this.
I mean, it sounds luxury, right?
It's
I mean,
so luxury.
You just think this sounds luxury, and so let's not talk about what was there, or and really for people that aren't part of that system, or anyone with a relation to that type of system, or any type of care that might be needed, you wouldn't know or even think that stuff actually happens.
Totally agree.
Well, and there's people that are still, to this day, have had family members that were there. It really wasn't that long ago, and so they remember visiting their great aunt or visiting their grandma or their parents that were there. And so there's people around today that will not allow what happened there to go kind of covered up.
My
So
mom may have gone there and stayed. I remember my grandma talking about this, but I can't remember all the details because I didn't care as I was young. A teenager, I didn't soak in the details, but I'm pretty sure my mom had a stint there.
Well, there's only two places to go in Oregon. You either go to the state hospital or you go to Dammasch, right? I mean, that was it. I mean, there wasn't other places to go. And, the state hospital is widely known for its not great treatment of people during that time as well.
Yeah.
And I know that Dammasch...
Well, and I guess Fairview was probably open.
Yeah.
So...
But the effort was, I think the doctor that started it, I think with the great intentions of really helping people in need. But then things, again, go unchecked, unregulated. And really some things they tried weren't what we would consider traditional.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
Shock therapy.
Yeah.
It's fairly inhumane treatment, forced sterilizations. I mean, so there are things that were done and under the guise of helping, whether it was truly helping or not, but under that guise that what we would consider today in today's world completely inhumane treatment.
Yes.
So that closed down in 1995. And are there ghosts on the property, like little Caspers floating around? Do we know?
That's what I would want to know too. Like the people that do live there, they experience any paranormal? Do they anything?
I think screaming, right? They hear some hear. There's been reports of hearing screams at night, seeing dark figures at night.
Lots of orbs.
Orbs,
Floating orbs, lots of dark figures.
There's a creepy energy that comes from the forest that's there.
Yes.
So there's a forest on the outskirt of the property.
I do have a thing about that.
100% that is true. that's where the hospital was. Oh, that it just gives me goosebumps. It is, you can feel it. It's
1800s.
Real estate site.
Like how many people do you think know that they live on top of a former mental health institute?
I literally just got a house under contract that's
I
a
know.
couple of miles away.
That's why we were
not-
Ginger, you'll have to go visit and like
neighborhood?
report. You'll have to report back.
that's why I asked you which side of I-5 that was on. Because I'm like, well, what's the area?
East under contract. Excellent home. Good choice, buyers. We're proud.
Good choice. Yeah. No, I know.
Yeah, you're safe. No
But
ghosts.
we were talking about, gosh, I wonder how Ginger would feel like, you don't have to disclose it. How would you feel if someone was like, gosh, I kind of have a bad feeling about this? You're like, oh no, this is a great home. And
I know.
You know?
How could you sell it?
It's important to say, and I know people probably don't care, but I do think it's very important that you know that is not a state law.
yeah, no, I think it's great to say, yeah,
Whether it's natural
Yeah.
or
right.
intentional.
Your grandma died in the home.
murder,
Nobody says that.
Yeah.
It does not have to be disclosed. The only thing that has to be disclosed if it was like a meth house. or
Right.
if
It-
drugs were created in their property, breaking back.
for exposure.
situation.
For potential exposure issues.
Totally.
Right. Yeah.
Totally. But I just feel like also in real estate, and I'm really not trying to turn it that way, but I will tell you that the number one reason people don't buy a home is if they think there's paranormal activity. Number one reason nationwide. Yeah. I won a contest, won $100 in the office one day because I'm like, if people ask if there's ghosts, and he said, bingo. People are concerned about paranormal activity in the property that they're buying. They just want to know. People feel energy, they feel vibes. And I just wonder, do people notice that there, especially if they're on the edge near the forest?
Okay, this person says, in place of Dammasch is now the Villebois subdivision, a whole bunch of families, parks, and schools built smack-ass on the massive former grounds of a mental hospital. On the backside was also a creepy church called the Living Enrichment Center, but it was benign, creepy but benign. I could spend hours telling you about all the things I experienced in and on that property. The most important thing I can tell you is whatever was there when they built Villebois is still there. It will always be there because it survived almost obsessive barrage of priests, psychics, mediums, etc. that were dragged through there. The developer who bought it had a wife who took that kind of thing seriously. I spent more than a few years running around the place like it was my home. Without question, she cleaned everything she could. Without question, she didn't get it all. If you find yourself with nothing to do one evening, go sit at the park. The center park is roughly in the same place where the most active place in Dammasch was, room 6. Decades after the hospital closed, we were still having to rescue people from the tunnels and the cells that would lock until we allowed the Navy use of the building for training behind them. Half the time, the people we pulled from the tunnels were former patients trying to get back in. There used to be orchards all around the hospital, and on at least 2 separate occasions, former patients returned and died in the orchards. Officially, one was suicide and one was overdose.
Isn't that crazy? Room 6.
Like #6. No.
See, Heather, you're
So lots
you
of-
felt that.
I did. I don't know.
See, I had never heard of that until you told me to add it to my list to look it up.
Because it's creepy.
Yeah.
I had heard rumor in
Really?
the world of real estate that maybe there's something to check out there and there's something to know, but I really never researched it. And when this whole conversation came up about the podcast, I'm like, ooh, start talking to me because maybe it's deep down in my mind that I've heard some rumor of this. So it's so interesting to hear these facts in room 6 and the underground tunnels and the crematorium and the mortuary and all of the things and the revolving door of people going in and out. And do we know, did you say this, how many acres, how large this lot was?
It's a
not just the
big piece
building,
of
but
property.
the
property.
grounds.
I think it was pretty big. The
Mhm.
building itself only took up about...
Yeah, the hospital seems small considering
Well,
the
it
amount of property that
It was small. I mean, think about State Hospital, right? We drive by that all the time,
all the time.
right? And so you think about those grounds. So there's actually a lot of outbuildings on those grounds, that
Okay, so the institution was situated on a 490-acre campus with roughly 50 acres dedicated to the hospital buildings and grounds.
so 490.
But the remainder
big.
was used for agriculture purposes.
Excellent. Okay, yeah, that's huge. So
Yeah.
when you're building a development, you're encompassing all of that for sure. So the hospital, was it like the hospital here in Salem, where it was like one big building with all of the rooms, or were there multiple buildings? Was there family housing? Was it just the family member or the person, the patient who stayed there, or were there family grounds with cottages and places for others to stay?
It was all connected. There are 3 floors.
Okay.
So there's not a ton of
But wings.
different outbuildings.
But
Yeah,
there's wings.
Yeah, but not a ton of different outbuildings.
I think that matters, right? Where the people are kind of in one location.
Congregated.
On this acreage versus we have 5 cottages here and 27 cottages
Yeah,
here,
yeah,
all who
yeah.
have separate rooms.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and I think that's great.
No,
that
it's
they're
hospital.
separate
It was
housing.
like institution, like
Yeah.
hospital.
Yeah, some people did have their own like solitary rooms, and other people shared rooms with 4 to 6 people.
Well, clearly, what they say, 600 and some patients and only 400 and some rooms.
60 beds. Yes. Yes. Yeah. And yes, there are only like technically 5 people that did die there that we know of.
In the
That
5
was
months, that was
Yes,
for the investigation.
for the suit, but probably people died of natural causes or unnatural causes otherwise as well. But those are the only ones who were preventable deaths, like severely preventable.
Well, and records are clearly not easy to obtain or even in existence.
No,
right?
yeah,
They've
not
been
at all.
Scratched.
Even
Yeah.
any general information about the hospital is very difficult to come by.
Well, if you think about
at
it,
all.
I mean, first of all, they'll be protected now because of the HIPAA,
Mhm.
but also mental health, they have further protections. But a lot of people that were in these types of institutions are getting sometimes dropped off or checking themselves in. So I won't say like homeless, but you get a lot of like the Jane Does,
Sure.
right? So
Mhm.
it's not, they're not coming in with family at the referral of a regular doctor, like,
Right.
so who you're getting are more of unknowns.
And that makes sense for the type of hospital
Mhm.
this was. I just feel like room 6 has me a little bit creeped out, and the tunnels have me a whole lot creeped, and the crematorium and mortuary. I mean, I get that that's part of a hospital, but yeah, all of those things are just like red flag, red flag, red
Mhm.
flag, red flag. So no specific ghost stories of somebody met Ghost Mary who floats around the neighborhood. It's people
No.
hear screams or orbs or energy by the
Or
forest.
or they were in the building before it was torn down and they heard footsteps behind them and they thought something was they saw blood, they thought someone was behind them. Just very
The light bulb with no
The light
power
bulb with no
to
power.
the property.
Yep.
I mean,
And there's 2 stories like that. There's another one where another construction worker, they had disabled the PA system that had existed. And one day he was working and he heard it crackling.
Can
he
you
was-
imagine?
No, I cannot.
I would pee my pants.
I cannot.
Oh, yeah.
I just can't.
So he heard it crackling and he was like, that's weird. I thought we just disabled that. And so he went to talk to somebody and they're like, oh yeah, that shouldn't be. And he went back to work and sure enough, it was still crackling.
Okay, creepy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I remember doing research too, thinking, why do I have this feeling? Like,
Mm-hmm.
really, what's the backstory here? And reading stories from people that worked there, like nurses. And I read stories from them that it was really that environment, really unhealthy. So, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of war stories out there,
Well, I'm sure just the situations that nurses were they were dealt, they were trying to do their best and with the cards that they were given to help people, but
They needed to
didn't have-
work and couldn't speak up.
yeah, and they didn't have all the resources that were necessary to take care of the people that probably needed more hands-on around the clock. Intensive care than what they were able to provide.
Well, medicine, too, is so advanced. They just don't have back then the medication that they have now, the help that we have now, with all the variety of medications. Not that I had.
I think good access to knowledge and data keeping. I mean, I think those things have certainly advanced since the 60s. And part of the funny initiative to kind of go from the institutional
To help
care
them in the
to
community.
other-
Yeah. Well, they were doing lobotomies there, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's not 100% confirmed, but I think it's kind of the general consensus that did happen there because, like it said, the doctor can help you with electroshock therapy, and if electroshock therapy was happening, then lobotomies were probably happening and the forced sterilizations and the...
So are there reports or proof of like neglect? Like we're talking about these terrible things.
Oh, certainly. I mean, that's actually why they shut it down. They shut it down because there was these 5 deaths that happened, 5 preventable deaths that happened in like a 6-month period of time, and then I think the authorities came in and did some digging and said, okay, yeah, this is basically inhumane treatment.
Yeah. So one guy, he was there because he was schizophrenic. And he had an episode where he was like, okay, I need to be in solitary confinement right now. He just told them that. And they're like, okay. So he went in there and they said, we need you to remove your shoes. He said no. And then they restrained him because he refused to remove his shoes. And when they did that, they put a towel in his mouth, like a horse bit. And they held it there until he calmed down. But him calming down was him
stopping breathing.
Yes.
Oh.
And then later in the report, it says a doctor came in and noticed his face was black. And so obviously he was not alive anymore. And so that kind of pointed out the fact that there was no training on how to
support someone going through
properly. And why did it escalate so far when he self-admitted himself to go into solitary confinement?
Okay. So clearly here's a condition of neglect.
Yep.
But it opened in 1961, right? So just the potential of other horror stories, sad stories, neglect stories, heartbreaking stories, I think it exists. And I think that's the vibe you feel when you're out there, Heather, or when you were back, 10 years ago or so. I think the souls do live on with the joy and happiness or pain and sorrow. And I think that
I just even the energy, even if they didn't lose their lives, I think that just the loss, the darkness, you're trapped in this place and there's bars on the windows. I can't imagine.
A lot of sadness, I bet.
Yeah, just the residual energy surrounding all of that.
So for your podcast, we give a believability and creepy score.
Okay.
So 1 to 10, since Ginge, this is her first podcast, but I know she's listened to them, so this is what's coming.
Yep.
Certainly, let's do believability first, because obviously, right, this is fact. I mean, some of the things that you talk about are like, right, we're not quite sure. And so we have to figure out, like, okay, how do we believe it or not? I think for me, it's obviously a 10. What do you think?
Oh, same. 10 for me, because I literally felt it.
Yeah.
Which is
10.
And we know it's real.
Yeah, totally. 10 believability. It's factual.
So, and then creepy score, whether that's the ghost or the paranormal activity, the stuff that was going on there.
Well, for me, it's for sure a 10.
The vibe. Yeah.
Yes, I've again felt it,
Like firsthand.
Yeah. It was creepy. It's creepy. You go out there and you go towards those woods. I dare you. In broad daylight on a sunny day.
I do wonder how many people who live there today know.
If they get that, yeah.
I feel like they probably don't.
It was kind of hard to find recent accounts. People who didn't know that place had already existed, that were there during high school, and that was kind of the place where everyone went.
Yeah, I mean, that's old. That's a long time ago, honestly. I mean, like that would kind of be a forgotten thing, I would think, for people that like move away or aren't there. But if you're still there, I think that would be something that would absolutely be talked about. Creepy wise for me, I mean, I reviewed some of the stories and I looked up some of the ghosts and the paranormal activity, and there's a whole bunch of them. I was actually surprised. I thought, it might be hard to find, like, because I hadn't heard of it. I hadn't heard of the ghosts or the stories, but they were really easy to find and very detailed, and people like have these like affirmed like real life accounts. Like I'm never going there. So creepy wise, I think, gosh, I can't imagine. Like, thankfully they don't have a hotel there, so Dad could stay there, because I don't know who would visit him, but but I think creepy, like it's up there for me. But I'm not scared of it. It actually makes me more sad. Yeah, I have a higher sad factor than I do a creepy factor, but I am totally creepy.
It's the mistreatment of
so the
people that didn't receive the
So I feel like creepy for me is like a 7. But if I had a firsthand experience, I would absolutely be a 10. But for me, I'm on the more sad than I am creepy scared. Like I'm just it's sad.
Ditto. Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth. I think my whole thought process through all of this has been, I'm not creeped out by it. I'm sure the vibe is there. I'm sure you can feel that. So creepy factor, maybe, but sad factor for sure. My heart breaks for things that have happened and maybe the pain that lives on and the vibe that you feel. So creepy factor, I'm with you. I'm going to say 7-ish, but sad factor 10 or 12, 100%.
It fascinates me that you see movie stars or people along the way that are like, oh yeah, I think my house is haunted. Like, no big deal. Like, they welcome it. And I'm just like, no.
I mean,
You're the 1% of people that would want to know and would not buy.
I would never go back.
if it's a nice ghost that cleans,
I don't care.
then that's fine.
I'll take a cleaning ghost.
But if it's something that's going to, I don't know, do evil things and has a malevolent spirit, then I don't want anything to do with it.
The sad part of today's story is there was sorrow, there was death, there was sadness. It wasn't happy, joy, fun stuff.
And they're there for pain.
Yeah.
Right.
Totally.
They're not there because they're well. I mean, they are like.
Yeah. It's not a place where they all went and died of old age. It's a place where
They were
negative
mistreated.
things, they were mistreated. Things probably happened to them that shouldn't happen to them. And
I mean, Heather, I'm so glad that you brought this story up. And this, I mean, it's like one of the things that, Madeline asked every week for people that listen to her podcast to, like send stories and share stories so that we can learn more. Because I think this was like, we just love to learn more about kind of like what's going on.
well,
things,
just
things we wouldn't
Oregon
know.
history in general. I think I would never have known that this was the sister hospital to the Oregon State Hospital.
Yeah.
Right.
So
And please tell me that there will be a podcast about the Oregon State
Oh,
Hospital.
absolutely,
Like
absolutely.
One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, the whole
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
that's got to come up, right?
100%.
Okay.
100%.
Yeah.
And that's
super
obviously
excited
going to have more stories, more detail, since that one has been open since the 1800s, the mid 1800s. So there's a lot.
Yeah, well, and it's had national publicity from the movie. But
Yeah.
yeah. So this one in Wilsonville, Oregon, man, who knew that it had a place on the map?
Yeah, and it kind of put Wilsonville on the map because when a lot of the people went to work there, it made the city bigger because it's, okay, you're moving your family there. These kids are going to go to school in the area. The husbands are going to need to work somewhere while the wives are the nurses and the caretakers here at the hospital. So
Oh, yeah. The schools, they said immediately had like multiple
increase
more
the
children
population by like 4 times.
in their classrooms because of the staff that were at the hospital.
Yeah.
And Wilsonville in the Portland metro, it's kind of southeast. It's a very cool area. It's a really great part of the metro to live. So in general, Wilsonville has a great reputation. This little corner has maybe some past negativity, but Wilsonville in general is excellent and amazing and great schools. So
Okay, well, that's Dammasch Hospital. And thank you for listening. Happy Thursday. I forgot to mention that. If you have a story or an experience, anything that you would like us to look into, email eerilybelovedpodcast@gmail.com. Follow us on social medias, Eerily Beloved Podcast. And episodes are every Thursday. So please tune in, rate and review us. And we will see you next week. Bye.
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 bye.